to my neck look?
There, we are now recording. Thank you for showing up to my first Moondog training Ask the Trainer video or series. And I am hoping to do this once a month. And so I might play with the days and the times just a little bit at first, just to get a time where we get the most participation. Because I do have clients that are worldwide now. So trying to get as much participation as possible. But Amy, since you're here.
Yes, I am here.
So yeah, I was going to talk a little bit about me and Moondog, and then open it up for questions about anything. Okay. So, yeah, so we have exciting news at Moondog is that we have decided to build a facility, and the facility will be close to our house, which is where my office is. And it'll be a small facility, but it will allow me to do training sessions and classes year round. So we are in the process of pricing things out and figuring out exactly where we want it. And hopefully it'll be built before the middle of summer is what we're aiming for, depending on the prices of things and what we find. And I am going to design it myself, and it's going to be designed so that we can have puppies in our socialization class for as young as 8 weeks. So you do not have to have all your vaccinations in order to come to a puppy socialization class. So I will have separate areas that can be sanitized so that you can bring your puppy in safely. They will not be able to interact with other puppies until they have vaccinations. But, sorry. But they will, so they won't be able to interact with puppies until they have vaccinations, but we will be able to have them in class so that we can go over handling and body examination and how to pick them up correctly for their size and weight class. And so that I can actually physically help you with that. And then hopefully, like I was saying this before we recorded, I am learning how to do video editing, but my goal is to have the first part of this class as online as well, so it can be a hybrid class. So that if you're not comfortable bringing your puppy into a class, that's completely okay, and they can, you can follow along hybrid or through Zoom. We can do some Zoom live feeds as we're doing this as well. So that's kind of my new news. And that's a big step forward for Moondog, because up until now, we've just been doing public places and one-on-one sessions. So hopefully this will be started this spring. So that's kind of our news. And I don't know, I guess we'll open it up for any questions. So Amy, since you showed up tonight, you get first choice.
Yay. So I do have a question. So I have a puppy that's just turned 5 months of age this week. And this puppy likes to bark extremely loud when he's voicing his dislikes or his strong opinion that he needs something like right now. And then also when he's scared to death in frightened situations like social settings. Any idea how I can, maybe to pick one of the situations, how I could begin to redirect him not to use his loud, super loud voice?
Yes. So first, in the social situations, it probably comes down to lack of confidence. And so going through the socialization techniques that is on our handout, which includes the body body examination, learning new things, touch, and going through the different objects and textures, feelings, sounds. Going through that will help build confidence, but so will the basic, what's referred to as basic obedience. So going through, teaching how to sit down, stay, wait, place, and teaching all that stuff together will help gain confidence in the dog. As he builds his confidence levels, the barking will diminish in new situations. In the house, when he's barking randomly, you got to ignore him a little bit, because you don't want to praise him for barking. He's barking to get attention. And when he's strong, especially for very strong-willed dogs, they're barking for attention. So when they're barking for attention, you really do have to ignore them. You don't give them what they want, so that they understand that that's not going to get them what they're wanting. And a good way to do that is to turn your back to them when they're barking. And you have to over-exaggerate it at first to get it to work. You don't say anything, you roll your eyes. And so you roll your eyes up, exaggerate it, turn your shoulder to them, and then kind of just turn your back to them. And what that's doing is that's telling them in body language that no, that's not acceptable, and you are not tolerating it, and you're not going to give them any attention until they stop doing what they're doing. If they're barking out windows or at something outside, it sounds really funny, but this method works really well. As a passive way to deal with barking is to go over to the window. Again, you're going to exaggerate everything. Look out the window, look out the door, make it a big motion that you're looking, say, okay, thank you, I see. And then you redirect them. As soon as you say, I see, you redirect them, because you don't want them to not bark. You want them to bark whenever they need to. But you want them to be able to be quiet whenever you need them to be. And so it's a lot of over-exaggeration of your body movements. And at first, until they start picking it up. And then slowly you can start moving back from that. So you can start moving, maybe not going up to the window, maybe not moving the curtain. And then when they're still stop barking at that, then you can take a step back and not go up as close. And pretty soon you'll be able to, no matter where you are in the room, you can just tell them, hey, thanks, I see. And they'll stop barking. And I don't know if you heard the dogs barking behind me. That's kind of, I've got my guys so I can snap and they'll turn around. And I gave them a hand signal telling them that I acknowledged that they're what they were barking at. And they both, I have two dogs in here right now. And they both stopped barking and came over and sat down, because as soon as they start barking, I made my noise. I actually snapped my fingers. They looked at me. I gave them the hand signal telling them that I saw that I was okay. And then they came back. So we're not telling them not to bark necessarily, but you're telling them that when you say it's enough, that it is enough. A lot of dogs think that it's their job to bark to tell you things. And so what you're doing is allowing them to tell you and giving them the fact that you're acknowledging that they are doing their job, but you don't want them barking all the time. As soon as you say, I see, you're going to redirect them to something, playing with a toy, walking into a different room, just something to get them away from whatever they're barking at. And most of the time, I would say a good percentage of the time, this method will work. It takes a little bit of time, but it's a lot less invasive than other methods. And especially with puppies, it's worth working on, because puppies will learn it quicker than adult dogs. And you won't have to go to the collars and the other methods that there would be for that. So was that?
Yes, you did answer my question. Thank you.
You're welcome. Did you have any other questions? This
I
is
have
like a
a question.
personal session for
A
you,
bit
but then
more.
everybody gets to benefit from it.
Yes, yes. Wow. Do you have any suggestions how we implement potty training for a puppy? How would they let the furry dad know that they need to go outside to go pee or poop?
Naturally, dogs typically do not want to defecate or urinate where they sleep.
Okay.
And so they tend to not, if they can get out of an area they sleep in. So if they're sleeping in a crate or in a bed, they typically won't go there unless there's, an issue why they can't get out. So either, for dogs that are potty trained, that's like if they're sick or they have an illness or injury, then they might, or they get old. But typically when they're younger, when they're puppies, they don't do that. It's just a natural instinct to not urinate or defecate where you sleep. And so if you give them enough room in your confinement at first, you'll see that they tend to go, most puppies will tend to go off to the side and then sleep on the other side of your confinement area. So whether it's a crate or an X pen, they tend to do that on their own, or they'll go like around the perimeter of the X pen and then sleep in the middle because they're not going where they're sleeping, right? So the best thing to do for potty training, though, is to just make a routine right away. So you're doing 15 minutes after they drink water, 15 minutes after they eat. You should not be limiting water unless there's a medical reason why, but you can give them only like a little bit of water at a time, let them drink, take it outside, and then when you bring them back in, if they go right to the bowl, maybe hold off filling it up for a half an hour or so, and then give them a little bit more water in the bowl, just so they have access to it, but they're not drinking an entire bowl at one time. So because you don't want them dehydrated. But you're taking them out on that regular interval. And when they're puppies, that means every 2 hours, maybe, if you can even go that long. Some puppies need it a little bit more frequent. When they're a couple months old, you want, it's an hour for every month of age is the general rule of thumb, but some dogs cannot hold it that long. So you said your puppy's 5 months, he should be able to hold it for about 4 to 5 hours. But he might not, it's all individual. So if he can't hold it that long, then you're still going to have to go back to a little bit more frequent. So you make a routine out of it, and don't make a big deal when they mess in the house. Don't rub their nose in it. Don't get mad at them for it. You just kind of ignore it, clean it up, put it in, that's it. Because you don't want them to feel bad about going in the house, so that if they have to go for some reason, that they will go. But you also don't want them going in the house. They will naturally want to go outside. So you want to make your routine and stick with it. So if you feed them, 15 minutes later, take them outside, stay outside with them until they do both. It can take a little bit with a puppy because they'll want to play. And then you bring them back in and kind of judge about when they will go out again. If they'll hold it, then you can go 2 hours or so. But when it hits that mark, and it's good to either set a stopwatch or have a chart on the fridge. We do have a potty training chart on our website as well to help you out if you need it. When it comes up to that time, set a timer is a really good thing. If you can remember to set it, just a timer on your phone or something for every 3 hours to go and take them out, or 4 hours, then when that timer goes off, you take them out, let them go. Dogs will naturally go towards a door to go outside once they learn that they're going outside. So as soon as they start heading towards the door, just get up and take them out. Show them. So if it's only If it's only an hour after you were just outside, that's okay. You want to show them that going to the door means that that's what's going to happen. If you want them to ring bells or push a button, when you go to the door, you ring the bell and then say your word, let's go potty, ring the bell, take them outside. When they start associating the bell with going out, then you start incorporating the touch with it so they can ring the bell themselves. So it's a touch cue that you're going to teach them. When they go outside on their own, praise them like crazy. Make a big deal about it. Make your neighbors think you're really funny. Make your neighbors roll their eyes and laugh, but make a super big deal about them going outside. And you have to time your praise so that you're praising them when they are going. So not when they're done and they come back, but when they are going. And then as they get it, so you're making a big deal about it at first, as they get it, so, then you can kind of scale back on your praise. You still want to praise at the right time, but you can scale back about how obnoxious praising that you're doing. And you can just still go, good girl, good boy. My dogs are, I'm trying to think of their ages, 12, 10, and 8. And they still get praised every time they go outside and go potty. If I am out there and I see them doing it, they get a good boy, good girl, they get praise. Because that just reinforces that I want them to go outside and not go in the house. And it starts when they're a puppy. So I know I'm giving like a broad overview, but.
My puppy started grabbing the leash and bringing the leash to wherever I'm at and dropping it on the floor to let me know that my puppy needs to go outside. Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, do you take them both out at the same time?
I have to take both of my dogs out at the same time because the oldest one's on duty. I want to make sure everything's safe. After you go down potty, we come back up to the porch and we sit. Then the oldest one go out and do his business, and then he comes back.
Okay.
It's a ritual. It's a ritual, but they do. They work well.
Yes, if that's their routine, then you kind of stick with it.
Yeah.
If the dog makes their own routine, if it is nothing that would impede your life, then keep them doing their routine. That way they stay with it. And that's the quirks of the dogs. I mean, every dog's going to be different. When I was fostering quite a bit, my big dog, he's the one that's 10. He would take the puppies outside and he would round them up, push them to the door, and then he would always walk outside first and he would stand there and wait till every puppy got out the door before he'd go out into the yard to use the bathroom, and the puppies would follow him. And a lot of times if you have an older dog, by letting them do that, it is easier to train a puppy, to potty train them, because they're seeing the older dog do that. They're seeing the older dog go to maybe the spot that you want them to go, or they're seeing them go to the grass or go to if some people prefer their dogs to go on the driveway, just the area that they're going. You're not letting the older dog potty train, but you're letting them assist in potty training. And it does help if you have an older dog in the house. It actually takes a lot of that, us watching them as intently out, but you still need to stick to that routine, not every, hour when they're very little, every 2 hours, every 3 hours, and kind of work their way up.
Mm-hmm. My puppy at 5 months of age, getting to a point now where he's resisting to go outside. He's telling me now I don't need to go, but then as soon as you take him out, he goes potty.
Yes. And that's where you just have to be the strong one. You have to be, excuse me, you have to be the strong one and say, no, we are going outside now. But then make it fun. Over exaggerate and make him want to go outside. So if he's refusing to go outside now because he doesn't want to, then you go outside. I know you have the potty song.
I do.
And for everybody else that's going to watch this, Amy has been a client of mine for what, 15 years?
Yes.
We've gone through multiple dogs.
No longer. I think number 20 years.
20 years. Yeah. We've gone through multiple dogs. And so, yes, I do know that Amy has a potty song for her dogs, which is okay because that actually gets them excited. Yes, that gets them excited to go out. But then once you're out, make it fun. You know, after they go potty and after you praise them, then play outside for a little bit or take a walk around the yard and let them sniff things. If you can think of it ahead of time, you can do some enrichment activities and go out and hide some, hot dog pieces along the ground in your yard or on sticks, on bushes, like right now, because there's no leaf. Well, we have got lots of snow up here, but lots of, on the sticks on the branches of the trees, you can hide these little pieces of hot dog or cheese and then just walk around with them and let them sniff and use their nose. And so you're making it fun. So you're making potty time going out and pottying, but also being fun. And it will help with getting them to go out if they're refusing. And it could be something really, I mean, it could even be a toy. It's whatever interests the dog. But the hot dog thing, it's called the hot dog tree. And it's actually a really good way for enrichment for a dog. And you don't have to use just hot dogs. Like I said, cheese or lunch meat, homemade treats, whatever, soft treats. I used to do it with peanut butter crackers. I would just take a piece of a Ritz cracker and put a thin thing of peanut butter on it and hide a couple of them around the yard. And we'd go out, and sometimes I just do that. And I did not have a fenced in yard at the time like I do now, but even without, if your dog has good recall, I'd just let them go and just let them sniff around and just stand out there and supervise. Same with puppies. You can do the same thing. Just use puppy appropriate food.
My puppy would like. I think my issue would be the oldest one. I don't know how to stop the oldest one from getting it ahead of time.
Well, take them out one at a time for something like that.
Yeah.
Or take them out and have them on a short leash, your 6-foot leash. And then when everybody is done going to the bathroom, then you just walk them around. And it's also a good way to practice walking with the dog, because it gives them something to look forward to. But you could walk around the yard on a shorter leash and not have them on a tie out, or not have, even if your yard's fenced in, you could walk around on a shorter leash and do that. It's just a different experience for them. So it helps with the socialization and the confidence building.
Mm-hmm. So what age do I should begin taking my puppies out for different social experiences, go in different places? I know I can take them to Lowe's and Home Depot.
So I say as soon as you're comfortable taking them out, if they have their shots. I know parvo goes in cycles up here. So I definitely would not, if you have a bigger dog that cannot fit in a shopping cart, I definitely would not take them out until they have their vaccinations. So they have their, I think parvo's 3 shots, from 2 or 3 shots. I can't remember. It's changed over the years. So I think it's 3 shots now. But take them out once they have their parvo shots if they're walking around, because you don't want them to you can pick parvo up anywhere. It lives on soil, and if somebody walks and contaminated soil with a shoe and then walks into Home Depot, you can just leave it in Home Depot. So it doesn't really matter where you are. If your dog is small enough to fit into a cart, you can start taking them as long as they have their first round of puppy shots, to places where they will be in like closer contact, but keep them in the cart until they have their full rounds of parvo. And if you can also start socializing puppies with the distance. So you're looking at things, they're looking at other dogs from a distance, they're looking at people from a distance as early as, you know, you pick them up, whenever you bring them home. You just need to be careful that if they don't have their parvo shots, you don't really want them walking around too much on public places until they get their parvo shots. And then if they're, you know, if they're small enough to carry, in some of those instances, some of them you're just gonna have, you know, it's up to you what you want to take a risk if you want them to walk like along a trail. They're less likely to get parvo on a hiking trail or a walking trail than they are in a dog park or in places where dogs are frequent. You know, you can take them to places like that as early as you want. Just remember that to look for the body language of the dog when it starts getting tired. And they're a lot like toddlers where they will get the stupid energy where they will keep, you know, instead of sniffing and running around, they'll start falling on their face and running into things. That means they're tired, even if they're not sitting down. So when they start getting that level of tired, you just got to pick them up and carry them or have something to put them into to carry them just to let them rest. But yeah, it's places where dogs frequent, wait till parvo shots. Places where it's, you know, less likely that they could contract something like that, then it's up to you, whatever you feel comfortable. I would probably wait for the first round of shots if there's a lot of dogs on there, just because it's just like having a kid. It just helps them from getting, or keeps them from getting sick. It's very, very rare that a dog would get anything that they get vaccinated for when they're puppies, you know, right away, but there's always a possibility. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Socialization should begin before they leave their mother. Socialization should really begin as soon as they open their eyes. So if you're getting them from a breeder, that socialization should be started already. Most reputable breeders will do that. But when you pick the dog up, which legally it's 8 weeks, I'd like to see, if I were to advise somebody to pick up a puppy, I would advise them to not pick them up until 12 weeks of age, just because that 8 to 12 week window is when they're really learning from their mothers. And they're learning things like bite inhibition and how to be alone, which is, if they're not taught how to be alone, then you have a greater chance of them developing some type of separation anxiety. Whereas they're taught that when they're little, you're less likely to see that. But yeah, as soon as you get the puppy, you should start some socialization, and that it's just what you feel comfortable with taking them out until they get their shots. But you should be starting the part of socialization that you can do in home by yourself, which is the body examination, the new objects, new textures, new sounds, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So puppy like to put things in their mouth, just like toddlers, right?
Yes.
Always picking up, they're not supposed to.
Yes. And just like toddlers, that's how they get worms. That's how they get a lot of things. And it's not bad. You shouldn't discourage it too much if they're picking up something you don't want them to. You know, you're teaching them things like leave it. You're teaching them, you know, to leave stuff alone. But that's how they're exploring. They don't have hands, they don't have thumbs, so they're exploring by smelling and tasting. And so if they can taste it, they will. It's, most stuff out there is not going to hurt them. But it's just, we find it disgusting, especially when they pick up like cat poop or, you know, a disgusting rotting stick or something like, or a bone that they find out. So I wouldn't discourage it too much, but that's when you start teaching, when they start picking stuff up, you have to start teaching the leave it and the drop it, or give, whichever you prefer. So
You know what? He does not, when we're outside, he likes to pick up rocks. But I'm putting my fingers in his mouth and doing the finger
You're
swipe.
sweeping, yes.
Yeah.
Is he eating rocks? Just picking them up?
No, he's pretty good at hiding them in his mouth and getting them in the house beyond his fur daddy. He's good at bringing things in the house without, well, I think it's fur daddy, not good at paying attention. But
So some of that
He-
he'll outgrow. Yeah, some of that he will outgrow. It's if he's actually trying to eat the rocks that you should start worrying about. There's some medical conditions out there where dogs eat things that are not edible. But if he's not eating them, if he's just picking them up, carrying them around, you know, hiding them, it's just a puppy thing that they go through. They pick up things. For a while, you know, I had sticks on my porch from the dogs pulling every stick that they could find and get to. So it's just a puppy thing, and they should outgrow it. When you can start telling him or teaching him to drop it, teaching him to leave it. And so leave it means you leave it and don't go back to it again. So you have to teach him that, so that whenever you see him going for a rock, you can tell him to leave it. But then as soon as you say leave it, you're going to praise when you're teaching it. But as soon as he learns it, then leave it, redirect. So you practice leave it in the house with other things. We do a lot with a treat. We just put a treat on the floor and it's leave it, because it's something that they want. And then if they get it, they get it. But it's not going to hurt them. If it's, and then, once you're done with your session, you go pick it up and you have them do something that they know how to do. So, and then they get the treat. But once they learn leave it and they're pretty decent at it, then you can do leave it and then redirect. So leave it, and I still praise them. It's not as a necessity once they learn it, to praise them for that. So you can just say, leave it, good boy, come here, and you can kind of do that route, and then you just redirect them around to it. And pretty soon you'll find out that he's just kind of will slowly give it up.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for all these suggestions.
You're welcome. Yeah, so hopefully next month we will have more people who join. I'm double checking, making sure nobody was trying to log on, because I just saw two comments on my Facebook. So yeah, hopefully next month we'll have some more people join. And like I said, the date and time will be determined. If I get a lot of feedback that the 7 o'clock works really well, then we'll keep it at that. And once we figure out a good date and time, then it'll remain constant. I'm just trying to reach as many people as possible. And so since I'm new, I have the flexibility to go ahead and see what people around here would like to see, what time frame. So, and as always, if there's any questions, go ahead and message me on Facebook. You can just tag me in a post. Go to my page, the Moondog. It's Moondog Consulting and Services, but I'm tagged at Moondog CS. And I'm also on Instagram, so I'll get messages either place. There is a phone number on my webpage, the 907-203-0792. It's right there at the very top. I also take text messages at that number if anybody has any questions. And yeah, I will have some packages. My socialization package, like I said, I'm working on it. It's kind of a combination of a socialization class and your basic skills. It includes your basic skills because that is part of socialization. It will be, I'm configuring it right now. I'm completely redoing my class. So I'm configuring it whether it be a 7-week or a 10-week course because I'm adding so much information into there. And we are doing so much in depth. But that's, look for that soon. I wanted it to be out already, but like I said, with just me, you run into problems and you just got to work through them. And walking is going to be, I'm going to hold some walking sessions here soon at our local pet zoo. So those will be a couple bucks. I'm waiting on Pet Zoo to get back to me. And then I'm also going to be hosting some little freebie seminars at Pet Zoo. My first one will be coming up here in about two to 3 weeks. Again, we're waiting to help schedule them, but it's going to be collar and harness fitting in the store. So
that sounds interesting.
So as soon as that comes around, I will, as soon as those dates are finalized, then I will have stuff posted and I will do an event. So we have some upcoming stuff now that the snow is starting to melt slowly, and we will be picking some public places. Again, Pet Zoo is one of them for the walking here in Wasilla, and I'll probably pick a couple of different places around the Matsu Valley here to hold these classes. So with that, thank you. Thanks, Amy, for joining. And like I said, I hope next time we get some people. And
thank you so much.
You're welcome. And if there's any questions or comments, just go ahead and leave them. This will be posted to Facebook as soon as I hit the stop recording. And yeah, any questions or comments, feel free just to leave them in the comments and I'll get to them.